excellent.
Welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast. Today is a special guest episode, and I know that you're going to love this conversation. My guest is Brittany Urresta. She's a nurse practitioner that is literally helping give people their health back. Now, her experience includes active duty service in the U.S. Coast Guard, law enforcement, marine science, and 6 years of emergency medicine. She even served during the height of the pandemic at a New York Level 1 trauma center. And if that's not enough, she's also a bodybuilding personal trainer with a master's degree. She's recently launched her own practice, A New Wellness. So we're going to learn from her experience as a new business owner, and we're all going to get better together. It's going to be a good one. So welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Hey, Brittany, welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast. I'm so glad that you're sitting down to have a conversation with us today.
Hey, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm genuinely so excited to be here with you today.
Well, I'm excited to have you. I mean, I don't know, in all the conversations I've had with the many different people that we've had a part of the podcast, I don't know if I've had someone with such a storied background as what you have. I mean, I'm talking to military, I'm talking to medical, I'm talking to fitness. How do you do all the things that you do? I mean, this is pretty impressive.
I don't really know how I got here. And, out of high school, I just kind of started life and things just snowballed and I rolled with the punches and one thing led to another because outside of the military, I feel that health, wellness, fitness, medical, it's also connected. So when you get the whole picture like that, it's really difficult not to incorporate all of those areas.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Has this always been just at the foundation of your life, or did something, was there a shift or something that happened that said, no, this is the course I'm taking?
I'll be honest, I really didn't have a plan when I was in high school. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was in JROTC in high school, very involved in that. So that did teach me a lot of discipline. And we did have that fitness integrated with our training. And because I didn't really have a plan or an idea, I joined the military. And, after I got out, I'm okay, what do I do next? And honestly, my mother guided me a little bit along the way of just like, hey, you should look into this. And then I kind of made it my own and rolled with it.
Awesome. So how did you connect from the military to medical? Was that a part of the process in your service that you started that journey, or was that after?
No. So when I was in the military, I did law enforcement search and rescue, and then I did marine science technician, which sounds really cool, but a little bit cooler title than what it actually was. But when I got out of the service, I became a personal trainer just because I had loved fitness and I loved lifting. And after a while, I just knew I wanted more opportunity for my family and for myself. And that's when I went down the path of nursing.
That's incredible. If it were me, I would walk around with just a shirt that said marine science. What'd you say? Marine science technician? Is that what you said?
Yes, it sounds. It was actually. I'll be honest. It was a pretty cool job. I served off of the coast of New Orleans, and we would go offshore and inspect the oil facilities. So the really cool aspect of it was I got to go into these parts of New Orleans out in literally the swamps by these boats and helicopters. But really it was just inspecting the oil facilities and making sure they were up to the standards.
That's incredible. As you're talking and I'm just picturing what you're saying and I'm thinking, what have I done with my life? What have I done with my life? That is so cool. Well, I'm excited about our conversation today because I know that you have started a brand new business, which of all the things that you've done, this is probably the easiest. I mean, I say that jokingly because of that response. Because most people would say, being off the coast somewhere, inspecting ships and all the things that you've done, the military, all the service that you've done, that this is probably a breeze. But launching a business is not for the faint of heart. But I do know that you're having some tremendous success. You're doing some incredible work. And so I'm really excited for everyone to sort of learn from your journey, because you're just a little ahead from some people who are maybe listening or watching right now thinking, God, I wish I could do that. I have a dream. I want to launch out. I want to start something, but they have some hesitations. And so I know that they can learn from you. But A New Wellness, this is the name of your new business, of your practice. So just tell us about A New Wellness. Give us a little synopsis of what you're doing and what you hope to achieve.
Yeah. So I would say, by definition, at A New Wellness, we focus on bioidentical hormone replacement for men and women. For men, that looks like testosterone replacement, thyroid optimization. And for women, we deal with menstrual disorders, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal, and really educating people on what's normal versus optimal. And so by definition, that's what we do. But when I think of A New Wellness, I genuinely believe that this is what healthcare should look like. I think we have a sick care model that we follow in conventional medicine. We are fantastic at dealing with disease and disaster when it strikes. But my passion is trying to prevent as much of that as possible, trying to prevent that decline.
Wow. So I love that perspective. What you're saying is you think that there's a shift that's taken place in what people are receiving in their medical care. And so you see a better way, from what I'm hearing you say, that there's another way to do this. So just help me connect the dots here. How did you get here? What's the passion behind this? Was this a situation that you walked through while you were serving in different areas of your service, or was this a personal journey for you? What got you to this point to go, I've got to correct a problem that I see?
So there were several things. I would say it first started unfolding when I worked in the ER. I did several years in the ER, and I loved it. Trauma was my passion. I'm an adrenaline junkie. But it was a little devastating. You would see these people my parents' age, and younger, older, at, they thought they were living their life in a good way, a healthy way. They would get their checkups, and they would come to the ER with just a devastating episode, whether it be a stroke that left them debilitated, a heart attack, or, DKA from uncontrolled diabetes that they had no idea that they had. It was just brewing under the surface. And after seeing these people literally come off of the streets, come from their home into the ER, and then their life and their family's life be changed forever, I just thought there's got to be a way to help prevent as much of this as possible, to say, like, hey, this is what can happen if you don't make these changes. So seeing that devastation that took place, and it really made me think there's got to be a better way.
So taking that journey, what do you think has been the result of you taking the risk? Because I'm assuming when you go against the grain in anything, there's a risk that's associated with it. So you've already been practicing medicine, you've already been helping people, but you've been doing it within the restraints of former ways of practicing. So what have you seen as the difference when you were able to step out, kind of test the waters on what you thought was a solution? What have you seen? Has this proven itself to be true?
So I've seen a few different things. Really, when in the conventional medicine space, this is not an area of medicine that is taught in MD, DO, NP, PA school. It's just not part of our curriculum. So people don't know what they don't know. And I have seen clients get some pushback from their primary care providers because it's not commonly known and practiced. But the results stand for themselves. I find that I'm often a last resort for my clients. And when they come in, I sit across from them and they feel miserable. And so they're willing to lean in and listen to what I have to say because they've been through so many appointments, so many specialists that aren't producing the answers that they need. And, I'm very upfront with my education and setting expectations. of, hormones are the slow messengers of the body. This is going to take time. And the people that are consistent and they implement the various things that I have them implement. I get messages all the time from clients that have been with me saying, I literally just got one 2 days ago. She said, I've not felt this good in 20 years. And it's so easy for me to just, in between my day, be like, okay, cool, great. But I really try to kind of soak that in 20 years of someone's life. And so that's why I'm driven to just keep doing this, keep going against the grain and really just educating people on this area of care.
I love that. I love what you just said too, because I think that shows a lot of the character, the heart of what you do. Because what I experience in medicine, and I think probably many people listening and watching will say the same, is you almost feel like a transaction. You're just one number. You're just a name on a checklist of patients for a day. And I understand they're busy. They have a lot going on. I get that. Healthcare is a very tough field to be in. But when you said that you take a moment to soak in the change that's been made in someone's life, to appreciate 20 years of feeling bad for it to be changed in a moment, like that's meaningful to you, for you to stop. And so that just shows the depth of the care, the heart that you have for the patients that you serve. And so I love that you're already getting that people are taking the time to give you this feedback. So, people understand what it means to feel bad. People understand what it feels to go to doctor after doctor, to try medicine after medicine, and then recorrect some of those prescriptions because of the side effects that have happened. And I think this is the normal way that we experience our healthcare. So let me just ask you, what are some of the life change, some of the stories? Like, do you have some just favorite things? I mean, I want to hear that because that resonates. Like, that's the things that we can understand. We don't have all of the biochemical understanding that you do, but we understand sick and well. So tell us just maybe a little bit about just a favorite story, a favorite patient, an outcome that you were just celebrated.
Oh,
If you can pinpoint just one.
oh gosh, just one. I think the most incredible feedback I've gotten, and I literally, honestly, like 5 are coming to mind right now.
Yeah.
But the most incredible, it was a young woman. Her hormones were extremely out of balance, but it's not the route that conventional medicine takes in looking at this. And she says, Brittany, I exercise. I'm getting up at 4:00 every morning. I'm going to the gym. I'm lifting weights. I'm working out with a friend. I have 2 kids. I love them dearly, but I'm exhausted. I have no patience for them. I love my husband more than anything, but he's concerned that I'm not interested in him. He's accusing me of cheating on him, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I'm just so worn down. I barely have any energy for my family and to give anymore because I'm so empty. And, I can look at the labs and think, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But then when I hear just the stories of I'm trying to do everything right. I want to do everything right, but there's something missing. And so, we looked at her lifestyle. We edited a few things in her lifestyle that really got her on the hormones that she needed. Hormones that were not off the charts crazy, but just needed balance. And I checked in with her a couple of weeks ago and I've lost 10 pounds. My husband is telling me, hey, you seem happy. You seem like yourself again. And I love a supportive partner like that, that's not selfish. He sees her shining now. And I tell her, I'm like, you've done the work. I've played a very small role here, but you have taken this and run with it. And so to see someone's entire family dynamic change, it's amazing.
That's awesome. anu-wellness.com. Somebody right now is listening and says, I want that. I need that. So just right now, go ahead. It's in the show notes. You can find it there, but anu-wellness.com. And go and check this out. One of the things that you said, a word that you used, is a word that I use here often when I talk about a lot about our company cultures, shifting the environments that we're in, the balance between employers and employees is balance. I think that word is so incredibly important because in any give or take, in any relationship, there has to be a level of balance where we're looking for health. And so when you said that about this individual whose life has been changed because of what you're doing, looking for that balance in our health, looking for what balances us out so that we have clarity of thought, so that our emotions are clear, so that our energy levels are where they can be, so our relationships are healthy. What you're doing is really impacting every facet of someone's life. And so I really commend you for taking the risk to go out to do what you're doing, because I know you could share story after story after story.
Yeah, how much
But
time
that
do you
right there,
have?
yeah, but that's incredible. So I do want to ask you, though, because you did step out, you did sacrifice to do what you're doing. You are taking on, I know you needed one more thing to do on top of your family and all the things that you already had going on. But were there some unexpected just twists or turns in starting a business? You have now experienced starting, and all of these stories are great, but in the middle of all of those stories, you have a lot of work to do. So just tell me a little bit about the experience of starting, of this idea that said, I think I'm going to start my own practice. To here you are. Tell us how long you've been going, and maybe just a little bit of the journey.
Yeah, so it really, when I was in NP school, finishing up nurse practitioner school, I still worked night shift in the ER and days occasionally. I was doing clinicals during the day. My husband is the police officer. He's in the National Guard, so he's gone a lot. So we have a daughter. She's a teenager, and I was just kind of ran ragged. And my body, it held on as long as it could. And when I finally graduated, I thought, okay, I can catch a breather. Like everything's going to go back to normal. But I started having so many issues to where I wasn't like myself anymore. Honestly, I felt miserable. I would come home and I would just crash. And I don't mean like, oh, I just need a nap. Like my daughter knew like, okay, she's done for the day. I had no energy. And I started thinking, okay, like, let me get out of this. And I didn't have the answers in my background of medicine to treat or diagnose myself. And so that led me down a path of research and conferences and books and podcasts and, business meetings with other people. I did seek out someone that had an understanding of functional medicine, and he was fantastic. And it kind of opened that door to my own curiosity of how can I go back and practice medicine this way when, I know this is what I need. And if I feel like this, I'm sure there's other people that feel like this as well. So that's where the wheels got to turning about, I know how, I took the foundation that someone else gave me, and there were still pieces of the puzzle that were missing. And so that's why in my consultation, I do a very comprehensive lab approach. I feel like I would do people a disservice if I just said, oh, here's your testosterone, you're going to feel great. We need to look at the metabolic health, the vitamin deficiencies, the iron deficiencies, just everything. And then, like you said, lifestyle, that's what medicine should be. It should incorporate your lifestyle and what you're eating and drinking. And that's when I just kind of maybe I found my passion, because I can bring in my love for fitness and health as well as what I've trained so hard and gone to school for.
Wow. So I love what you just said. You found your passion.
Yeah.
And wow, doesn't that make all the difference when you find your passion? But I also love that this is a personal thing for you. This isn't just a practice. This isn't just something you're going to do to use your skills. This is a lived experience for you. And I have found that when you have lived it and experienced it, you have a connection with other people that just can't be replicated by learning, education, procedures, policies. These are things that are lived.
Yeah.
That's right. It comes from your heart. So of all this now getting started, you said, I've got to do something about this. I can't go back. Once I've experienced it, I can't go back to another way. And exactly what you described, that's the experience we all have. You get a reading, you get a little test result, and you get something, and you're told, nobody asks you all these in-depth questions about you. You get the typical fill out the clipboard 15 times, the same information. So your approach is very unique. I love it. As you started up, what's been some of the challenges? Because I know anytime you start, you have to convince people. So you're going against the grain, conventional medicine, conventional practice. You're also having to, there's marketing, there's all the billing, there's the customer service aspect of it. There's all these different things that are involved. Tell us a little bit about some of those practical applications that you've had to walk through.
Yeah. So, by trade, I'm nursing and medical. I did not go to business school. I didn't go to marketing school. And I feel like entrepreneurship is romanticized, and it is incredible. Being your own boss, making your own hours. And I'm very goal oriented. I'm very driven by goals. So launching my practice, ribbon cutting, getting my first 10 clients, it was great. But then the fantasy kind of fades when it's 9:00 at night, and you're grinding, and it's what people don't see. So and as well as when you work in a hospital, patients come to you. You don't have to do anything but have the building there, and especially with something that is not so understood and people aren't as educated on it. It's really difficult, or one of the difficult things is that outreach and teaching people about this, because there's a lot of outdated science that scares people away from hormones. And it's just that it's outdated. So breaking that stigma as well as managing everything else, it's been a challenge. But then I go back to when I get those texts, it's just like, man, it's rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it, and it's so true. It's the perception, it's being romanticized. It's the movie version of launch and be your own boss. And I hear it a lot. I hear people say, well, if I could just work for myself, or if I just had the freedom. But there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And so again, it's that balance. You understand the 9 to 5 is a struggle too. That's a big grind, but it has its trade-offs.
Absolutely.
Now, there's perks that come with running your business and being an entrepreneur. There's some great flexibility there. But there are a lot of late nights that people don't see. And I appreciate you saying that, because you anticipate one thing and you experience another. And that is the decision that every person has to make. Am I going to continue in this when what I anticipated and what my reality is don't particularly meet at this particular moment? But you said it, your passion, and I think that's incredible. Your passion is keeping you going. So let me ask you a question. As you're starting this journey and you're in this process, and this is the real life question. Have there been moments, and I think I know the answer, that you thought, I just don't know if this was the right decision. I don't know if it's worth this. And regardless of how deep that thought may have, or how long it may have stayed, if it did, because I know you're a driven person, and I know that probably no and quit's not a part of your vocabulary. But what is it in those moments that made you push forward?
I think I've always wanted to set an example for my daughter. I want to show her that you can have the family, you can have the career, and you can have goals at any stage of life. And I also, now that I see these, and I love treating men, but I think women as well, it's, focus on your family. And I 100% agree. But women have tended to fade as they age. It's kind of, it's what we address in conferences, that postmenopausal, they're losing their hormones. And I want to set the standard of, I'm not fading. I can be just as driven at, when I'm 60 as I was, even more so than I was 20. So I really just want to set that example for my daughter and my niece of, you just have to work hard, and life isn't all sunshines and rainbows. It's, I love Rocky. It's not a matter of how hard you hit. It's how hard you're hit and you get back up.
Yeah. I love that. I love that perspective. And I love that you said, I want to be as strong at 60 and productive and driven as I was at 20. And I want to live life that way. I call it life on purpose. I want to live purpose in every day and every season of my life. But wow, I think you uncovered something that may have been a light bulb moment for a lot of people, because you connected a dot to a certain stage of life, specifically for women, that could potentially impact all of the years that follow. And when you sink into normalcy and you accept that as a reality of life, as if there's no solution, we're robbing people of all the things it could be. But you just uncovered something, probably for people who have never thought that that there's another way, that there's another reality, that this is not how it needs to be. And it's the underlying chemical makeup of our body. It's just our health. It's just, there's one simple thing that could be preventing so many people from experiencing that drive, that passion, what they still have left in them for life. And so I love that you are focusing on that and uncovering that and making another way for people. You're literally changing people's lives.
Trying.
I hope that's apparent in what you do every day.
Yeah.
So let that be an encouragement. So how are you taking care of you? You started this journey with your own realization from your own season of life. And now I know you're busier than ever because you're doing the work, you're running a business, your mom, your wife, your fitness, your everything else on top of that. So how do you find time to still make sure you're healthy in the midst of all of this crazy busyness?
Well, I will say the first thing I did was I optimized my time. When I first started my journey, I hired a coach because it was one less thing that I had to worry about for myself. So I was able to hire a coach who, let's eat this, let's exercise this way. So I kind of resourced that out. But I make an appointment with myself for the gym every day. It's, give or take, but it's my me time. I don't look at it as selfish. I hear a lot of men and women say, oh, I can't take time for myself. You absolutely have to, because I can't give if my cup isn't full. So I schedule my me time. And in that time, it's, I put in my music. It's my time. It's what I want to listen to. It's my therapy. It's my mental health time. And it also just helps fuel my body as well. And I set that standard of I'm not going to I'm not going to ask my patients to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So I can't ask a patient to, let's do our cardio, let's lift, let's eat healthy if I'm not willing to do that myself. So I do have to live by example because that's the standard that I set for myself and the expectations that I want from my clients.
I love that. Prioritizing all of your time, maximizing what you have. But I think it's also important to note that when you said, I have me time, and this is for my mental health, and this is for the good of me, it's not selfish, but I have to be healthy. But understanding that, you decided to do something healthy that actually adds value to your desire to be healthy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people take me time but what they choose to invest in doesn't really add value to who they are. So in adding value to their life by saying, I need to take me time, they're actually detracting from something good. So I commend you for keeping that regimen, for keeping yourself disciplined, because you would probably, when you're mentally tired, it would probably some days just be good to go take a nap and just retreat. I know it said the heaviest thing in the gym is the front door. So I think that's what keeps a lot of people out. But Brittany, I think you're just doing some incredible work. And I'm excited for people to know what you're doing and to expand on your business. I know you're busy, and I know it's hard to get a hold of you because of you've got a lot going on, and the practice is doing great. But if someone is listening or watching and they're not local to where you are, you're in the Birmingham, Alabama area, can people contact you from other places to have some of your service? Are you doing sort of like telemedicine? Are you doing any one-on-ones in distance, or Are we talking about people who are local to the Birmingham market?
So with licensing, I am just treating the state of Alabama right now. And for people that are a little further out of central Alabama, we just have to have one on-site appointment, and then we can do telehealth for convenience after that. As far as people that are outside of the state, I do have social media where I give educational videos, posts. I have an email list that I give free education through each week. And then they can always contact me because I have a huge network of providers across the United States that practice in the same way that I do. So I can always try to find you a resource in your state of someone that I'm aware of and trust.
First sign of someone who really wants to help, they're willing to connect you with other people that they know that really want to help. So look, all of her links are in the description. So anu-wellness.com, all of her social media. Please sign up for her newsletter. You're going to get a ton of incredible information there. So make sure you check out all of her links. Follow her so that you can get some free education to help you in your health journey. Before we wrap up, I want you to talk to two different people. First, I want you to talk to the person who just feels crummy. They feel miserable and they haven't even started this journey yet. Maybe if they're like me, it just feels overwhelming. You don't even know where to start. You don't understand the makeup of your body and all the different things. What would you say to that person who's just thinking, I just want to feel better?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time, I can sit here and tell you exactly what to do. Eat this, drink this, work out this. But when we have a hormonal imbalance, it's something deeper. We don't have the energy and the motivation, and not motivation is in a way of just, get motivated. It's really a hormonal imbalance. So it makes sense that you don't know where to start, or you don't know how to start, or you might not have the energy to start. What I can tell you is go to my website. Let's get some labs on you because I will know where to start. And I will give you, what I tell people is I want this to be a lifelong change. I don't want any yo-yoing. I want this to be sustainable for you. So we are going to take baby steps in the right direction.
I love it. Just start.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate. The second person I want you to talk to is the person who is thinking about starting a business, or they've started a business and they're thinking about quitting the business because it's tough and it's a difficult uphill climb. What would you say to that person today? What would you say to just motivate them to begin or to just stay with it?
Well, first off, I would say let's make sure your hormones are in balance so your motivation is on point. But
I love it.
Then I would say, ask yourself why you started. What was the problem you were trying to solve, and are you doing it? Because sometimes it's we think of failure wrong. Sometimes failure is what I just need to do differently. And sometimes we truly do need to pivot. And that's just having an honest conversation of, why did I start? Is it going the way I wanted? And, is this a passion? Is this something that I am passionate to continue?
I love it. You are taking so many of the words that we talk about on this podcast a lot. Know why you did it to begin with. I tell people all the time, there is some reason that you made the decision. There was something about it inside of you that said, I have to do this. So on those hard days, just go back and remember why you started. That's great advice.
It's very easy. I find it's very easy to lose the plot. And we have to remember, right, just like you said, we have to go back to the why, because the days are long. Yeah.
Yep, that's incredible. Brittany, thank you. I know you're busy. This was a sacrifice of your time and your energy to spend it with us. So I'm so grateful that you've shed some light on both our health and the business world. So thank you for being a part.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for today's conversation. Hey, I would love to hear your thoughts. So if you're watching on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. And if you found this episode helpful, will you like, subscribe, share it with a friend? Wherever you're listening, please leave a review. And until next time, go and mind your business.